So, good afternoon, students. So, till now we have already covered basic principles or advanced principles of dynamics. There is Hamilton principle and the Lagrange's equation. These principles will help us in finding the uh, equation of motion of the system, but the solution of that we will not able to get from these principles. So now we need to think about how to get the solutions for such a differential equation. So whatever the methods we covered, that is quite general. Even for multi-degree of freedom system, we can able to obtain equation of motion. So only uh, main step is to obtain the energy terms, kinetic energy, potential energy, and virtual work. From that, these principles systematically gives equation of motion, not only for discrete system but for continuous system also. With one simple example, we saw that not only it gives the governing equation in the form of partial differential equation, but also it gives the associated boundary condition. So automatically from the Hamilton principle, we get the boundary condition of the problem. That's why this partial differential equation is called boundary value problem in mathematics, because always we will be having boundary conditions associated with this equations to solve them uniquely. So today we will move toward how to solve these equations, but before that we'll make some background. Before solving this equation, the next chapter will be making some background, general background will be making it, and that will help us in especially solving the this differential equation. Especially will be because we are dealing with the multi-degree of freedom system, we'll be concentrating on the matrix method. So generally we have seen that the equation of motion, when we write in a matrix form, that becomes very compact. We can able to see the matrix, what kind of property it is having, symmetry or not, and we'll see that as we'll go along, these matrices, the characteristics of this matrix will give information about the what kind of solution we will expect from them. So let us see what are the background we need to make before we start taking the solution of this. So I will share the PPT now. So mainly we will focus on matrix method in this particular chapter. Some basic understanding about the concept of influence coefficient, especially we will see. Influence coefficient will define in a more general way when the metric transformation, which will help us in transforming the equation of motion in one set of generalized coordinate to another set of generalized coordinate, and the coupling. So coupling, as we have been seeing in the mass matrix or stiffness matrix, that indicates that the generalized coordinates in that particular matrix are connected with each other, and that means those generalized coordinates will be disturbed. If we disturb one, another will be disturbed because of this coupling parameter. So let us see the flexibility influence coefficient for discrete system. This will extend for the continuous system also. So here we can see that there is a system in which several springs are connected and the masses are there in between, and at several places forces are acting. So we are considering, let us say, this is the ith mass. The position of that is given by xi. The displacement of that particular mass is ui. So xi is the position, it is indicating the position, and ui is the displacement of that particular mass. The force Fi is applied at the ith mass. Similarly, let us consider another mass, the jth mass, in which also there is a force, and corresponding position is xj, and the corresponding displacement is uj. So here we'll be interested in, because here forces are acting at different masses, displacements are also taking place at different masses. Generally, we will be interested in the displacement of the mass, and in most of the case, in general case, all the masses will be having some force. So, but to begin with, we will consider one force, and we'll try to see what is the displacement of that because of that at some other mass location. Let us say if we take only Fj force, which is acting in the mass mg. Now we want to know what is the displacement because of this force at ith mass. So all other forces are absent. Only force at Fj is acting, and we want to find out what is the displacement because of this at ith mass location. So how we can able to connect them? Obviously, because there will be some relationship between these stiffnesses, which will be giving us the relationship between the force applied at jth location and the displacement at ith location. So let us take that particular case in which we are applying only the Fg force at ith location, and that particular displacement we are saying at ith location is uij. So uij, I first subscript is representing the displacement location. So displacement location is at the ith mass. Second subscript is representing the force location. So force location is there at the j. So this is the displacement. Once I am saying uij, so this is the displacement at ith mass due to force at jth mass. Now, because if we increase the force at jth mass, proportionately we'll be having increase in the displacement in the ith mass. If we double the force at jth mass, we expect that the displacement will be doubled at the ith mass, because we are dealing with a linear system. So if we remove that proportionality constant, so we can able to relate this displacement with the force by a constant aij. So aij is a constant which is relating the displacement at ith location because of force at the jth location. Now, this particular aij is called the flexibility influence coefficient, and we can define this flexibility influence coefficient Aij as, so you can see that if we apply a unit force at jth location, then Aij is nothing but the displacement at ith location. So if we put Fij as 1, so that means that is equal to the displacement at the ith location because of unit force at the J. So this is the definition of the influence coefficient. Now this J location is we can able to change from 1, 2, 3 up to n. So if there are n masses in the system, we can able to change. First, we'll apply force at 1. We'll find out what is the displacement at ith location. Then we'll apply next time force at second location by removing the first force. That will be another displacement. So that means we can able to change the force position from 1 to n. So we will be getting different displacement for each force at one of the location. So we are changing the force location, but we are trying to see the displacement at this one location. Like if we want to find out the displacement at ith location because of force at j location at one at a time or at first location or ith location. So we'll be applying force one by one and we'll see what is the displacement here at the ith location because of those forces. And because we are dealing with the linear system, so superposition theorem is we can able to apply. So the total response at the ith location, which will represent as ui. So this is the total response due to all the forces in the system, that is n number of forces, and that will be nothing but the summation of all the displacements which took place because of one force when we applied at a time. So that is the total summation of the displacement. And uij we have defined here like this. So if you substitute this here, so total displacement at one of the location, that is I location, will be given by summation from j is equal to 1 to n aij into mc. So this is the relationship which we got to get displacement at one location because of force at other locations. But this I also we can able to change from 1 to n. So that means we can able to get the displacement at one location, second mass location, ith location or nth location, one by putting I is equal to 1 or 2 or 3 in this expression. So now we have related all the displacement. We can able to obtain this using this relationship at all the masses because of all the forces. Here, because number summation is from j to m, so we can take any subscript. So g is some kind of dummy index. So this is the flexibility influence coefficient. Flexibility is something like inverse of stiffness. Flexibility is something like inverse of stiffness. If in the previous example, if we have only one stiffness in the system, one spring, then the flexibility of the system will be just inverse of the stiffness. But now, because there are several stiffnesses connected by a different combination, so the influence coefficient will be related to with the stiffness of stiffnesses in some way. So that we'll see subsequently. So, but there will not be any general relationship between the AIJ and KIJ. For problem to problem, we can able to derive the relationship, or in very general way, we'll see that they can be related in a matrix form. So now the stiffness influence coefficient. So similar to the flexibility influence coefficient, stiffness influence coefficient can be defined, which I'm representing as Kij. Flexibility influence coefficient is Aij, and stiffness influence coefficient is Kij. So in this, how we can define the flexibility this stiffness influence coefficient here. Here, if you see this expression, so this is the force at I when we are applying, what are the displacement taking place at different locations. So what we can say here, if we want to define the stiffness flexibility coefficient, we can say if we are keeping all other displacement 0 except at ith location, and at ith location we are expecting that we are applying a unit displacement. So then this stiffness influence coefficient will be equal to the force applied. I'm again repeating, because in this expression, if you see, if we keep all other displacement 0 except at ui at the ith location, and ui we are taking as unity, so then in that case fi will be equal to kij. So this is the definition of the stiffness influence coefficient, defined as the force at ith station due to unit displacement at jth location while keeping all other station at 0. Yeah. So here we will keep jth location displacement 1, rest of the thing will be keeping 0. Then because k as j, so I represent the force location, j represent the displacement location. Similar to the influence coefficient, here the subscript meaning has changed because the flexibility and the stiffness are inverse. So in the previous case, in the flexibility influence coefficient, we had the first location as the displacement location and the second subscript as the force location. Here, first location of the subscript is force location, and the second location is the displacement location. Is something like if you express k in terms of force and u, you can then see that the force is there in the numerator and displacement in the numerator or denominator. So we can able to represent the subscript accordingly. So this is the stiffness influence coefficient on the similar lines as the flexibility influence coefficient. Now, if you see the first equation, this equation is, if we can write this for I is equal to 1. So this will be u1 is equal to, so there will be n terms here. Then, so that means we got one expression. When we take I is equal to 2, we'll get u2 is equal to, then it will be having n terms. So similarly, we have n such equations. So in the summation form, we are writing very compact form, n simultaneous equations in a very compact form. So that expanded form of the equation we can able to write like this. So u is nothing but u1, u2, u3, un. F is nothing but f1, f2, f3, fn. A is the influence coefficient. So the first row is corresponding to the I is equal to 1. So in this, if we take I is equal to 1 and expand, we'll get n terms. So that is nothing but these terms are there. For I is equal to 2, this you can see in the second subscript. In the first subscript, 2 is there always. Similarly, this is for the nth one. So here we have related that particular summation expression in the form of a matrix. U is a vector containing n displacement at n masses. A is the influence coefficient, flexibility influence coefficient matrix. Now we call this as a matrix of size n into n. F is the force 1 to n. From this expression, if we expand, we can able to express this as force vector, stiffness matrix, and U. So stiffness influence coefficient matrix will be of this form. So the form is similar. Everything is A or alpha is replaced by A is in alpha are same here. A is replaced by K. Otherwise, here also n terms are there. So we related here the flexibility influence coefficient and the stiffness influence coefficient with force and displacement like this. Okay, so now if you see the first equation contains F in the right side, but here we have F. If we substitute this F here, what we'll get? U is equal to A K U. So that has been done here. So we are substituting F here. So we got K into U. Now, because you see U is equal to A K into U, and U is same. So there is only possibility is there when A into K is identity matrix. Then only this two displacements which are same vector will be equal. So A is equal A into K is equal to identity matrix. We got a relationship. So that means the flexibility influence coefficient matrix is inverse of the stiffness influence coefficient matrix. As I mentioned earlier, if we have only one spring, then this kind of relationship is there. But now we have several spring connected in a complex way. So the matrix of a stiffness matrix will be inverse of that will be equal to the flexibility influence coefficient or other way around. So here these influence coefficients or the flexibility influence coefficient or the stiffness influence coefficient, they will be related with the stiffness of the system. If you see here in the system, we have stiffness K1, K2, K3 like this. There is no two subscripts here. So this K11, K12 are not directly related with K1 or K2. They will be related with some way in terms of K1, K2, K3. So that will depend upon what kind of system is there. Then we can able to relate this coefficient. So this is called coefficients, not the stiffness of a spring. Or this are influence coefficient. This is not. So we'll take up some example maybe in the tomorrow's class, and then we'll see how explicit expressions for a particular case can be obtained of this influence coefficient, both flexibility and the stiffness. So now the concept of the this flexibility influence coefficient for the discrete system in which n number of masses are there is we have clear. The same thing we can able to extend for the continuous system. So here instead of flexibility influence coefficient, we'll be having function, and function I'm representing as a x comma xi. So instead of aij, I'm writing x and xi. What is x and xi? Let us see. So there's a, let us say, cantilever beam having some distribution of the load on this. Now we have two locations. One is location on the beam as x location, where we want to find out the displacement is wx. So we want to find out the displacement at x. Because of what force? A force which is there at xi location. So here ij is not there, but x and xi is there. So force is, so there is a force at xi. If we take a small width delta xi d xi, then the distribution of the force is p xi. If you multiply, there is a force per unit length. If you multiply by the width, so we will get the force at this particular hatched area. So we want to, so this a x xi will relate the displacement at x location due to force at xi location. So concept is similar to the discrete system. Then when we want to find out displacement at this location because of force at all over the beam, then here instead of summation we'll do the integration. So that will be the only difference. Integration will be there. So you can see this is the displacement at x location, small displacement at x location because of force at xi, only this particular force at xi. And this is the flexibility influence function, which is relating this to. And now if you want the displacement at here, because of all the forces, we need to integrate this from 0 to L to get the displacement at x. So this Wx is the total displacement because of all the forces, which we can able to get to this expression. This was one-dimensional beam, x coordinate is there. The same concept, because in the continuous system we can have two-dimensional problem like plate problem, in which we have x and y. So plate problem means in which not only the length but the width is also is having appreciable length. So here we will be having x and y coordinates. So something like a roof is there, that is we can consider as a plate or some platform on which some loading is there. So the loading location will be defined as x and y position. Similarly, we can have displacement at some other location. So here you can see a x comma y. So x comma y is defining the position of the displacement if we want to find out on a plate. And plate means big plate of size of roof or some big platform where we want to find out. So x and y will be the location where we want to find out the displacement. Xi and eta will be the force location. So here, instead of the xi, eta also will be coming here d, because area. So here we will be having this as force per unit area, and this is the area of, if we take a small strip somewhere, so that will be the area. So this will be the force on that particular location, xi eta location. This is the influence coefficient. So that will relate with the displacement at xy, but we need to take all such forces over the area. So that's why this double integration is there. So that is a influence coefficient function for two-dimensional case. So concept is there, but I think finding this is quite complex. Finding such relations of the influence coefficient is quite complex. Even we can extend this for three-dimensional object also, 3D in which we have x, y, z, and xi, eta, and some other zeta coordinates. So this is a concept, but application and finding the such function is quite difficult. Okay. So if you have any query till now, I will ask, or you can ask some questions. Otherwise, I will proceed for how to find out the energy and other things in terms of the general or influence coefficients. Okay. So there is no question. So yeah. So now we'll obtain strain energy because we are dealing with a multi-degree equilibrium system. So if we have influence coefficient of the whole system or influence function, then how to get the strain energy from that? Because influence coefficient is anyway related with the stiffness. So they contain the elastic energy of the strain energy. So how to calculate them in a general way? So let us consider a system in which n forces are acting. Fi is the force, and there are any number they are acting. And we are trying to find out displacement at one location of I, and uh, corresponding displacement Ui is in the direction of respective forces Fi. So that means at one particular location, if the Fi force is there, Ui is the, so at present I am considering only one force, Fi. I am assuming that the Ui which I am defining is along the direction of force, so that the strain energy stored due to this, we can able to write Vi is equal to half Fi Ui. So this is the strain energy due to single force which we applied at Fi or at ith mass location. Now, because we have so many forces acting, and if we define displacement at each of the location where the force is acting, and in the respective force direction if they are there, then like I we can go to change to 1 or 2 or 3. So this expression will be giving us, if we apply force at one location and displacement at u1 is in the same location in the direction of force, so this will be strain energy due to this first force. We can similarly obtain for second force, third force. So total energy of the system can be obtained by adding all such strain energy. And if we substitute Vi here, we will get the expression of the potential energy is half Fi Ui. So now Ui we were related with the influence coefficient earlier. So how we related? We related Ui, which is the total displacement at ith location because of all the forces. So we related by influence coefficient like this. Okay. So the previous expression Ui, I am replacing with the this summation term. So Ui is replaced by summation term. So half summation I is equal to n to I to 1, I to n, and Fi is same. Ui is replaced by summation of j is equal to 1 to n Aij Fg. So this has been substituted. Now even we can because this Fi is can be taken inside because integration summation is with respect to j here. So I can write this expression like this. So here total potential energy can be related with the influence coefficient, the flexibility influence coefficient like this. Okay, so this is the final expression for that. Now, instead of concentrating at the ith location, now I'm saying ki, let us say I'm applying force at Fj, the jth point, Fj, and its displacement, corresponding displacement at that location is Uj. So strain energy at that because of that force will be Vj is equal to half Fj Uj. So here I have just changed the force location to J, and I am saying whatever the displacement is there, that is Uj at that location itself, is giving me the strain energy due to that particular force at that location. Now, now this expression which we derive, what will be the expression this for J? If I replace this with J, all the subscript will swipe, they will interchange like Ui, so Uj. So summation will be from I to j, I to n, and this will be u, ij instead of that, it will be ji. So subscript will swap each other because now I am relating the j instead of u. Similarly, the influence coefficient here will be instead of ij, there will be ji. So this expression has been obtained just by swapping this subscript. Now, this particular strain energy which we obtained for at one location of jth location, we can sum them up for all the locations. So if we sum up this Vj, we can replace with this expression here, and Uj, now I'm substituting here. Okay, earlier it was Ui, because here in the second step we started with the jth location. So Uj, if we replace this with this, we can take out the summation outside. Even the order of summation can be changed. So this will be Aij. Now this potential energy expression 3.17 and the 3.14. Basically, they should be giving the same potential energy. So if you compare this, you'll see that here Aij is there, here Aji is there. Other terms are same. So that means unless they are symmetric, they will not be same. So that means this influence coefficient, flexibility influence coefficient are symmetric. That is called Maxwell's reciprocal theorem. So if they are same, that means the matrix flexibility influence matrix will be equal to the transpose of the same matrix because it's symmetric. On the same line, because they are same, we can able to say that because they're inverse of each other, so this also should be symmetric. And once the coefficients are symmetric, the matrix also can be transpose of each other. Okay, so this relationship of this symmetry, for reciprocal theorem, we have seen here. Now we'll try to write them in, this expression energy in the form of matrices or vectors. So like one of the strain energy we wrote like this: V is equal to half summation I is equal to n 1 to n fi ui. So here if we expand this term, there are n terms. I is equal to 1 to n 1 by 1. We'll be having n terms. So those can be written in this form. So this is a row vector and this is a column vector. So if you multiply these two, what you'll get? F1 U1 plus F2 U2 plus Fn Un. So same thing as this, except the half. I think I should put here. Half will come here. So rest of the things will be same. So we can able to see that. So this is very important. He represented the row vector like this L, and this is mirror image of L. So this is a row vector. Column vector is represented by this kind of bracket. So row vector means is having rows. Column is single. Column vector means is having different rows but single column. So this particular expression, potential energy, we can write this as, and here this put here. So this is a column vector, but transpose of that will be row vector. So same as this. So F row vector into U column vector. The same expression, if you see, we can able to swap. We can put U here and F here. Then also we'll get, if you multiply, we'll get the same thing. So that's why here it has been swapped. U transport, that is U row vector, F column vector. So this we can able to change. So depending upon the requirement in future, we'll be using either this form of the potential energy or this form, so that we can write the expression in a convenient form. Yeah, so this we already related earlier. That is, so if you see this expression, which relates the U with Fi. So we already related this. So this one. So this is a column vector. I think we already related this earlier. This one. We already related. So that we are using here again. Okay, I think there will be correction. It's not equal to this. Yeah. So this is already related. If we take transpose of this, so if transpose of this means we need to swap this to F will come first and A will come second, and the transpose of that. So this is the standard matrix operations which we'll be using frequently. How to take a transpose of a product of matrix, that will be swapping, and then transpose of that. Now this potential energy in the previous expression we wrote like half F column row vector U, and U then in the previous slide we wrote as influence coefficient matrix and F, so that we can able to, so U we can able to replace here with A and F. So now you can see that potential energy can be written as half F times the F row vector A. This is a flexibility influence coefficient F, because they are they are symmetric, so even transpose can be written. Same thing for the stiffness. So potential energy. So here we can able to write transpose of U, or F we can replace here. So K into U. So this is so potential energy either can be written in terms of the flexibility influence coefficient or stiffness influence coefficient, because they are related. Only thing is you can see here they are U, but here their force are there. And if you see, this is something like potential energy, we write half kx square for the spring. So if you see carefully, is in some way is similar form. Half k, U is a displacement, so product of that will give you square. But here the order cannot be changed. The multiplication of order of the stiffness cannot be changed. So this particular form of this potential energy is called quadratic form, because is having something like half kx square form. So that's why it is called quadratic form of the potential energy. So this we already saw the symmetry of this. Now the same concept we can able to apply for the continuous system. Let us say one-dimensional case in which the potential energy can be written as this is the force applied, and at one particular location this is the displacement half. So this will be giving the potential energy because of a small force at some location, at x location. But if we integrate over a whole domain, we will get the total potential energy in a beam case. Now this particular W we wrote earlier as this. We define W with the influence coefficient like this. So Px is this. W I'm writing as summation of the integration, the flexibility influence function, and the force. So here, so this is the potential energy which will be having double integration. And here, as we had in the discrete system, here also we'll be having the symmetry, in the sense that the location of the displacement and the force can be interchanged. So if we are applying force at xi location and measuring the displacement at x location, that will be same if we apply the same force at x location and measure the displacement at the y location. So this symmetry is prevailing in this flexibility influence function also, as we had in the coefficient case. So if you have any questions on this, please. Any questions till now? Then I will go for the matrix form of the Lagrange's equation, and then maybe tomorrow we'll take up some examples so that what we are doing will be more clear. Okay, so there is no question till now. So that is fine. So yeah, so Lagrange's equation of motion in matrix form. So earlier we had the Lagrange's equation where we had n number of equations. So now we are writing those n number of equations in a matrix or vector form. So if you see, I've written, no, I'm not writing r is equal to 1 to n. So this I have written in the matrix form, delta t by this one. What is representing this is this. So delta t by delta q r dot, delta by dt is common. This is an n-dimensional vector. So is having differentiation with respect to first velocity generalized coordinate, second, third, nth. So when I'm representing like this, it means it is having n components. So that is the understanding that if I'm writing in this bracket is having n component. Similarly here, you can see that there will be n component. So, and derivative will be with respect to q1, q2, q3, like this instead of dots. Similarly here also we'll be having n vector, that will be capital Q1, Q2, Q3, Qn. So this is representing the matrix form of the Lagrange's equation. Now we'll substitute the kinetic energy, potential energy terms here as we obtain in terms of the influence coefficient, and try to see what we get from that. So here you see the kinetic energy, how we express generally of this is the q dot transpose and q dot. So this we already I think derived earlier. So this is a mass. So it's something like a half mass velocity square. So m is the inertia of the mass matrix, and generally velocity, the kinetic energy is always positive. It is zero when there is no motion, but if motion is there, then the kinetic energy is having some positive value. So that's why this is called, the kinetic energy is called positive definite quadratic form. Quadratic form because velocity square form is there. Positive definite because it can never be negative. Always it is positive, or zero when there is no motion. But kinetic energy is never zero. So that's why mathematically it is defined as positive definite quadratic form. These are having some meaning, especially when we go for the solution of the differential equation. They will indicate the form of the solution we will expect from the governing equation. So that's why we are trying to classify this kind of terminology in which we are saying positive definite. That means always it is positive. The kinetic energy. So kinetic energy expression, like the previous one was, if you multiply them, we'll get this kind of expression. Okay, so this is the same expression, this expression. So here it has been shown in the expanded form. If you expand this is a vector, this is a row vector, Coulomb vector. So if you multiply them, you'll get it in the summation form. Similarly, the potential energy, this is the quadratic form of the potential energy. When the K is the stiffness influence coefficient, and if we expand this, we can write this in the summation form like this. Here, the potential energy is also having quadratic form. And generally, you will see regarding the positive definiteness of the potential energy as we'll go along. So at present, we are not defining the potential energy, the positiveness. We will see as we'll go along. But kinetic energy is always positive definite. But potential energy, we are leaving it as quadratic form. Regarding its positiveness, we'll see as we go along. So now in the previous case, this. So basically, now I'll substitute these in the kinetic energy, potential energy, and then I will take the differentiation in the matrix form. So I think I'll stop here. Maybe I'll take up that tomorrow because this is having some concept. So it will take some time. So I think within 5 minutes I will not able to cover this. So I'm stopping here. So now once we obtain the potential energy and kinetic energy in the form of the mass matrix and the stiffness coefficient, we'll substitute this and then we'll differentiate in the vector form, and then we'll see that this particular the Lagrange's equation basically will give us the equation of motion directly. So that I will take up in the next class tomorrow. So tomorrow I think we have class at 5 o'clock. So if you have any query, you can ask. Because today was mainly some background which we are making for solution of the differential equation. And tomorrow we'll extend this. We'll take up some example also, how to obtain the influence coefficient, how to obtain this stiffness coefficient. They're quite complex, especially the influence coefficient calculation is quite complex. But we'll take up one example at least so that we will see how they can be related with the springs which are there in the system. So I think stop sharing. Okay.